Graduated high school and married at 17 years old.
Guys, in today's video, I want us to talk about the speeches made by the former president of Liberia, that is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. You know, she had a very beautiful quotes, motivational speeches that really encouraged us. And remember, she's actually somebody who got married at the age of 17 and ended up being the president at the age of 67. I mean, dreams are valid. Let's listen to her speeches first, and then I'll be back to do an analysis about it.
Madam President of the General Assembly, Secretary General, distinguished delegates, friends, I'm honored to address this high-level meeting on peace and security as part of the UN 80th anniversary. 80 years after the founding, we must recommit to the Charter, to our common security, to the belief that nations can choose dialogue over destruction. We begin in Africa, our shared cradle of resilience and hope, where democracy is weakening, where fractures across borders from Sudan to the Sahel to the Great Lakes strain our regional architecture. Yet, across Africa, communities stand up to extreme violence. Regional bodies mediate transitions, and women's groups negotiate truces when the state is distant and humanity is near. We have learned hard lessons. Prevention costs less than reconstruction. Reconciliation is a process, not an event. Peace agreements require institutions and citizens to be real. When guns fall silent, skills training, jobs, justice, and dignity must follow swiftly. Liberia's story illustrates UN-led progress and success. The largest peacekeeping force joined Africa's forces to disarm fighters, support elections, reform security institutions, and create space for reconciliation and growth. India's all-female formed police unit strengthened protection and public trust. The mission ended with Liberia standing on its own feet, out of war, into a fragile peace with accountability, inclusive dialogue, and economic opportunity for young people. We must acknowledge that the multilateral architecture built to shield future generations from war is underperforming. That global leadership lacks a unified effort to respond to a technological enabled world. Commemoration without candor is unaffordable. The world asks whether this House will protect civilians and uphold international humanitarian law. These are not words of despair. They are summons to repair. Our answer must go beyond words. It must translate into actions felt by a family in a tent, a nurse in a clinic, a child in school. A call for change, a renewed vision of collective security, and a broader approach to to the triple planetary crisis and worsening inequality. The call for the new design of a new vision, better together, must ensure immediate protection of civilians, finance for conflict prevention, proposals that pay real people, leaders who are audible and accountable, women at the table with budgets that guarantee their participation in all peace negotiation delegations, and the deep weaponization of the information space. None of this is beyond our reach. It demands humility to listen, courage to compromise, persistence to implement. Peace is not built only in conference rooms, but in classrooms where girls learn without fear, clinics where mothers deliver safely, markets where youth find dignified work, courts where law is fair, and in daily acts of neighborly coexistence. 80 years on, the United Nations founding generation would ask if we are still worthy of the hopes inherited. Our answer must be yes. Not because the world is less dangerous, but because our determination is stronger. Better together. Your theme, better together, your theme, it must be a strategy. Regional bodies and the UN working together. Civil society and governments co-designing solutions. Women and men sharing power equally. Truth and reconciliation traveling the same road. Let us leave this anniversary with concrete commitments, funded priorities, and a timetable for action. Show those in shelters, standing in the bread lines, and awaiting news of loved ones that the United Nations, as it celebrates its 80th year, remains a place of peace, a place of refuge, a place of unity, and a place of hope. I thank you.
I graduated high school and married at 17 years old. I dedicated the next decade of my life to my husband. I bore 4 sons in 3 years and watched my former peers advance in school and their careers. Meanwhile, my marriage was turbulent at best, and I experienced domestic violence. In 1961, my husband was granted an opportunity to study in the United States, which afforded me the chance to nurture the same dream. After a decade and 4 children of being out of school, I approached this incredible opportunity with the same determination to succeed that I had once seen in my own mother. And I went on to earn an accounting degree from the Madison Business College. Today I'm president. Yesterday I was a prisoner, forced into exile. Failure matters. Oftentimes, success comes through the experience of failure. Those who pursue success must also be familiar with failure. It is impossible to understand our present without an appreciation for our past, and our history is a combination of where we succeeded and where we failed. We pay the greatest respect to the past by avoiding its mistakes. Some people call that wisdom. But with each accomplishment come expectations and assumptions. There will be days that will test your commitment to this calling. I am, however, confident that the same perseverance that brought you this far will see you through. Be not afraid to demand peace. If I might thus speak to girls and women everywhere, I would issue them this simple invitation. My sisters, my daughters, my friends, find your voice.
Thank you, beautiful people, for listening to her. It's really encouraging, motivational, heart soothing. It's beautiful. So, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is the former president of Liberia, and she was actually the first democratically elected president woman. Beautiful. So, when he retired, he left behind a very powerful lesson, especially for countries that were developing or developing countries from crisis. So we have beautiful things to learn from her, from leadership, human, and of course, real world way. So Helen, she was sworn into office in the year 2006, and that was after a brutal civil war in Liberia. Of course, the country was traumatized till date. It's still traumatized. Some people are still traumatized. The country was poor. The country was divided. And there is nothing bad like a divided country. So many leaders mostly avoid these messy situations. But for her, she stepped in and straight into it and salvaged our own country from being thrown into the mouth of the lion. So what we are learning here is that real leadership shows up when things are hardest, not when everything is polished. Because when everything is polished, so many people want to be associated with it. But wait until when things are messy. That is when you'll actually see the real people with the real intentions coming in. She was somebody who talked so much about education, and as much as she was highly educated, remember that she attended at some point Harvard School, and of course in the School of Economics. Somebody like her, you expect that she would be so good in global financing, debt relief, diplomacy, name them. So that specifically, it really helped Liberia to secure a debt forgiveness and international support, which is beautiful. On that, we actually get to learn that symbolism alone is not enough. Leaders have to understand systems, money, policy, so that they can be able to get out of some situations that probably somebody else who might have not known about it wouldn't be out of it. So women, from this you can see that we can actually lead at the highest level, not at the lowest level. So when she was elected, it really empowered and encouraged so many women around the world. Her election alone shattered a mental barrier that is across the world. She did not just win, she governed, she negotiated, she stood her ground, and especially in a male dominated field or space. So when women lead, it gets to expand. Our society believes that it's possible. Honestly, nothing is impossible. Guys, the former president of Liberia really prioritized national reconciliation, forgiveness. He supported truth and reconciliation efforts. And she really worked with the former people that they were opposing her, she worked with them so that she can have the opportunity to stabilize the country that was just from a mess. So on this, I get to learn that we should not be people that hold grudges, because grudges can destroy nations. Healing could be slow, but it's actually necessary. She is somebody who fought against corruption, and of course she did not just use words of mouth alone. The former president Ellen spoke strongly against corruption, as much as her opponents said that corruption is persistent under our watch, and sometimes they said that it involved even close allies. So, in this case, corruption is not only fought alone, but together as an institution also. And of course, systems do matter more than speeches. So, most of the time, you could see her skillful work. You could see her skillfully work with other nations of the world, the West, the IMF, the donors, and that was for only one reason: to rebuild Liberia. But again, remember that heavy dependence on donations is not good, because it limits your independence. So, in this case, depending so much on foreign help or support can hinder your growth. And of course, I know that if you come together, everything becomes easy. But again, we have to look at the other side of the coin. So, as much as she restored stability and that many ordinary Liberians felt the economic gains, it was really necessary that at least it reached where they were. So the success was beautiful because everybody felt it, not just the rich, from top to bottom. In her career, she won so many prizes, including Nobel Peace Prize. But again, at home in Liberia, she faced a lot of criticism, and according to reports in the internet, something that so many people remember is that she was a trailblazer and a flawed reformer. So great leaders are not saints. Impact matters more than perfection. So the story of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf teaches us that breaking ceiling is only the first step. Governing well, rebuilding, and leaving a strong legacy, leaving a strong foundation are the real tests of leadership. Thank you, my good people. If you watched the clip up to this point, I do appreciate your presence. I'll see you in the next video.